Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. And with that, let's bring in Jeff and Anthony. Guys, I got home at midnight last night.
Did you drop the rental wagon off?
I didn't rent a car this time. I guess, Anthony's going to laugh at this. Every time I travel south, I get a greater appreciation for the travel that the South teams have to go through. It's just, we were at Philly Hockey Club, which is technically in New Jersey, for those that don't know. And I just put in the Tappan Zee, not called Tappan Zee Bridge anymore. Governor Cuomo Bridge. I think it's called Governor Cuomo Bridge. I put that in first just because I wanted to go to that bridge. And it was like, oh, you're 2 hours from the bridge. So when I'm on the bridge, I then put in the Worcester Ice Center to help get Trevor home. And I'm like, oh, you're 2 hours and 50 minutes from that. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I haven't made any progress.
Again, like you said, every time you go to the South, now you know why we call them bus legs.
Yes.
Yes. Bus legs.
For sure.
How was your first shift when you got on the ice there, Commish?
Yeah. So exactly. But I was down there with Trevor for the South Regional Showcase. So let's start talking about that right now and around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
Around the E Show is presented by BioSteel, the sports drink of the EHL. Use the promo code EHLB1, that's EHLB1, for 25% off when you check out at biosteel.com.
Before we start talking about the games, though, Anthony, I need to see your reaction here because you're obviously from New Jersey, right? So we got a hotel where the Philly Hockey Club, the owner also owns the Philadelphia Rebels, so they have the NA team. And the NA, the teams are required to provide hotels for whoever's visiting them. So we stayed at their kind of opposing team host hotel, right? Incredibly nice hotel. But when I found out the town and I started telling everybody what town we were in, I got a reaction every time, Anthony, when I told people that we were staying in Camden.
Oh,
not much reaction from you. Okay.
Okay. No, Camden, New Jersey, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Tough town. That's what everyone told me.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I will say, I do think, there have been some good things going for Camden over the last couple of years, but yes, it kind of has that similar reputation of Newark, which is, up in North Jersey, Patterson, I guess, but yeah, no, I can understand the reactions.
Keep your nightlight on after a certain time of night.
Yeah.
We were on the waterfront though, so I don't know. It was damn nice.
Were you near the aquarium? Because I know they have a really good aquarium down there.
Yes.
So they treat the opposition pretty well then down there in Philly.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
So it was just funny. Every person that I was telling that we were staying in Camden, it'd be like, the good side? I was like, I think so.
Sounds kind of like where I went to college, Hempstead, New York. You say that town, and people are like, where are you going? You going towards the Coliseum? Good side. You're going away from the Coliseum? You might not come home.
So funny.
All the good towns have the little flavor to them, right?
Yeah, for sure. Man, is the South weird, Anthony. Oh my God.
Really weird.
You're telling me.
So I first want to give a shout out to Jamie Rice from Babson, who came down for the regional showcase.
Wow.
Babson's in Boston, everyone, or in south of Boston, I should say. It's Wellesley.
Wellesley, Massachusetts, folks.
But he was there watching a few specific players. But I as I said, I actually talked about this on the air with Joe Sindoni in the second intermission of the Bears PHC game yesterday. When these college coaches identify players that they want or are interested in, it doesn't matter where they are in our footprint. And I think that's what a lot of players need to recognize is you can be in any of the 4 divisions and they're going to come watch you play. Right. So funniest comment he had for me was at the beginning of that Maryland 87s game. Excuse me here.
Oh, deal. That's coming, bud.
I'm fighting it, Jeff. I'm fighting it.
Machines break it down.
Maryland goes up 2-0 early. And Jamie's like, are these standings correct? And shows me his phone. He goes, nothing makes sense down here. I've only been here for one day. It's like they all feel the same way down here, Jamie. So I thought it was pretty funny. We had some good laughs about that. Obviously, there were 2 teams that won both of their games in the Bears and the Little Flyers. 2 teams that split both of their games in the Huntsman and the 87s. And then 2 teams that lost both of their games. But PHC did get a point in PHC.
It was against the Bears, too.
It was against the Bears. For a minute, Anthony, I was like, are they about to shut the Bears out? But I want to say, we will get to this later, too. The Bears have a 3-3. They're playing today again against the Rough Riders. So, but it's such a unique division. And I said this on the air with Joe a few different times. Because there's that, as Jeff, you love it, call it like a healthy hate, right? Like when the puck drops, these coaches want to beat each other so badly. But at one point, there's like 4 coaches all sitting in the restaurant in between the 2 rinks, just laughing with each other. And I'm like, this is so bizarre down here, man. Like, it's
you guys
good
do
though.
Things differently.
Yes. Welcome to the South Division, where the teams don't make sense and the standings points don't matter.
Yes, and I pointed this out, Anthony. Last year's South Division Finals were the number 3 seed Little Flyers versus the number 4 seed Team Maryland. And, right now, when you pull up the standings, if we had betting odds, and Jeff will get to our DraftKings Sportsbook later.
Ice, baby. There's your cheese.
The New Jersey Bears have to be the favorite right now at 16-2-1.
I'd say so.
But again, does it really matter where these teams finish? Outside of, obviously, you can't finish 6th. Because if you finish 6th, you won't make the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only spot that doesn't matter.
I think the South Division really is unique, where it's very close, and every single team has an opportunity to make it to the Frozen Finals. So as long as you avoid 6th place, and even that could be hotly contested, because right now Team Maryland has 14 points, Little Flyers are in 5th with 16, and Team Maryland has 3 games in hand.
Yeah.
And, the Little Flyers are coming off a showcase sweep where they won both games. So, they're hoping to take some momentum where it looked like they were going to be in dead last. But, they turned it around. And Team Maryland could do the same thing. They could snap off 2 or 3 quick wins, and then they're right back into the thick of it. So
why do you think it is that there are these streaks, though, Anthony? Because the Little Flyers had a mini losing streak going, then a winning streak now. And it's been the opposite for PHC and Maryland. It's it feels like we get these little 3-game bursts. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I think one reason is when you take into account that the South Division plays against each other more than any other division, where it has all these intra-divisional games, 6 or 7 games, against each team per season. I think that guys like Adam Hooley, Mark Catron, Matt Reed, they look at the tape and they make adjustments for each game where they're like, okay, so we know how they play. This is what we did wrong. We got to adjust our systems, this way. And, next time around they face a team and they go ahead and beat them.
Yep.
We've always said too in the South Division how hard it could be to win against the same team 2 or 3 times, or even just consecutive wins, because the other coach can make adjustments and they can make adjustments and beat them the next time around. And I don't think it's something you see as often in other divisions, where the North teams can go play against the Central teams on a fairly often or frequent basis, or the North going up against the East Division, because we see a lot of those matchups.
Yeah, for sure. I will make a note too. I have to acknowledge, I said this before after the All-Star series. One of my favorite personalities in this league continues to be Carson Fry. So I
gotta meet this kid.
He was the backup.
You said that during the college series, right?
Yeah, he was the backup in the shootout victory over PHC yesterday, right? So it was Tim Briley and net. So he was in the penalty box, like obviously cheering on the team from there. They win in the shootout, and he somehow gets the door open and beats the rest of the team to the backup goalie. Like he came flying out of the box. But you know what? It was cool. Like Anthony, I had a chance to see that team really outside of the Worcester showcase, obviously, and they just like, while they were being shut out for a very long time in that game, and Cross Sherman from PHC deserves a lot of credit. Like it felt like one of those hockey games where it was like they're firing away at this dam, and eventually the dam is going to break. It never felt like, all right, if PHC does hold on for 60 minutes, like it'd be a great victory for them. But at some point they're going to break one through. They get a tip-in goal to tie it and then win it. And quietly, they're on an 11-game point streak now with 10 wins in that streak.
16-2 and
1.
I
mean, the New Jersey Bears, they definitely have a lot of really good players. I know Oleg Agorov, Corbin Schiebel.
Yep.
Also, you're right. I mean, I saw this in the college showcase. Carson Fry can be such a goober, if you will.
A goober.
And his support for Tim Briley. Briley, by the way, really good goaltender in his own right. Neil, Jeff, I'm sure you can appreciate this. It kind of seems like they have a Linus Olmark, Jeremy Swayman kind of combo going, where it's a 1A and a 1A.
Well, he's the best comparison for Jeff is he's the modern day Thomas McLaren.
Thomas McLaren, baby.
Yeah, who was
leads the league in goals against right now. Brilliant.
Yeah, he was Brendan Brawley's backup in 18-19 with the Little Flyers.
Disgusting.
I think Jeff's weekly plug at that time, Anthony, was he was still undefeated. But
like
think about this, Jeff.
11-0.
Thomas McLaren, social media post coming out later. Last week's Northeast 10 goalie of the week for Assumption. Right. So I just goes to show you that like it's, you could be the starter, you could be the quote unquote backup, like doesn't matter. Like both goalies are good.
Right. And like Anthony said, Fry's played 10 games, Briley's played 7. So
yeah,
Fry's got like a little bit of headway there, but not much. But yeah, Briley leads the league in goals against 158.
It's awesome, right?
I feel like that's harder to do too when you're starting a little less. Like a lot of these guys are better when they see more pucks, see more regular starts.
The other thing too is, they both have pretty high save percentages, and when you're not facing that many shots per game, it's actually kind of hard to keep a high save percentage because the few shots that a team can get against you are usually grade A chances when the team might have a breakdown. So the fact that both goaltenders can make the saves when they need it most, that's indicative of a very good team you've got there. So it's like I said on X, formerly known as Twitter. It comes to no surprise that the Bears are one of the teams to sweep the showcase because they're just playing great hockey, top to bottom.
I don't know.
It's another team streaking that's a pretty good. Yeah, I still would call it X. F that. F that to the moon.
I work in a news organization, so I just hear that all the time where you have to say X, formerly known as Twitter. That's a news organization's way of saying we know what it's officially called, but we're still going to call it what it's always been called.
Yeah. I still plug in our broadcast. Go check us out on Twitter at EHL_hockey. So. F that.
I will say this though, Anthony. The first 2 games of the regional showcase were 4-0 Little Flyers over PHC and 4-0 Huntsman over 87s. And I'm thinking to myself, are we going to have a showcase where like half the teams score and half the teams don't? Like this feels kind of weird.
Not the worst
but the college coaches were still very, very interested. Like I said on one of the broadcasts as well. It was good to see a bunch of the schools from the UCHC, Alvernia, Arcadia, Kings. These are all Pennsylvania-based schools. And I know they're the Philly Hockey Club in New Jersey, but everything's like so tight down in that like little corner pocket. Do you guys call it something, Anthony? I feel like Philly's right here, where Philly Hockey Club is right here, and then Delaware's right here. It's this little like section where everything's on top of each other. Am I wrong?
Yeah, the Delaware Water Gap is what we call it. But
okay, perfect.
I mean, like here in Jersey, we know that the Trenton area, which is also just on the other side of the river near Philadelphia, we know that South Jersey is Philadelphia territory, and that there are a lot of Philadelphia Flyers fans down in South Jersey. I mean, the guy who just did the intro for us. They live in South Jersey on the other side of the river, so Jim has to cross that bridge anytime he does a Flyers game.
Yep.
So I've always joked too, especially when Philadelphia Hockey Club came to Jersey Shore Arena the first time. I'm like, they're like the New York Jets and the Giants. They play in New Jersey, but they're too cowardly to call it as such. It's like, no, we play in a city. It's like, no, you don't. You play in Sewell, New Jersey, not Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, we went to PJ Wellahan's for dinner 2 nights ago.
Wellahan's?
It's like a
like the ground
Jersey, Delaware, Maryland type like American pub style chain, I guess if you will, Jeff. Like a TGI Fridays, but probably better. Like, let's just say that, right? If anyone's listening at that point. So when we walk in, it's just so much green and so many Eagles flags. And I'm like, oh boy, we're not near Boston anymore. But it was good. It was good. And like another awesome regional showcase. And it was cool to see and provide a closer avenue for those college coaches in that UCHC conference to come check it out. Misericordia University, a new school in Wilkes University, was there. Kevin Cole, former assistant at Norwich, he was there. So it was cool to get kind of honestly a little appetizer for the league-wide showcase taking place March 1st through 4th at the end of the season. And while we were down there, Trevor and I, we spent a lot of time looking at that March 1st through 4th schedule. There are a lot of very intriguing matchups, especially for the South Division, because a lot of teams could be fighting for playoff seeding at that time, but they're not playing each other in that last showcase. Obviously, they're playing cross-division games, and it could mean something for someone, but not as much for somebody else. And I know I love to talk about the playoffs way too early, but we're a week away from Thanksgiving, guys. Like this is truly the halfway point, in my opinion, of the season. Because if we play 46 games and today is the 20th game for the Bears, and that's kind of around or near the average, like we're near the halfway point. I know everyone wants to call winter break the halfway point, but that's more like the, 60th percent marker, if you will.
Yep.
So we're getting to that point now where once you turn past the halfway point, you start heading for home, if you will. Every one of these points is critical, and Anthony touched on this earlier in the South Division where 6th place doesn't make it. Like it could be like 1 point that keeps somebody out of the playoffs. So
Newington.
But speaking of matchups and something that funny that came up and switched divisions, we love Chris Sorella. On this podcast, we love to kind of talk about what he pokes at all the time, right? And he's like, wait a second. I looked ahead of the schedule. Okay. I'm not sure if you're trying to sneak one past us, but we the Avalanche play the Railers, the final game of the regular season.
Oh my God.
March 4th. Monday, March 4th.
You're what to watch for this week on March 4th.
Maybe it doesn't mean anything. I don't know.
What's wrong with that?
Maybe it's the difference between the Bears and the Railers winning the regular season championship.
I was just gonna say, could be best league record,
right? And again, like
President's Trophy, if you will.
There is a value in every single point because when you get to the finals, 1 plays 4 and 2 plays 3. Like I get it, the 4 teams that are there are gonna be the top 4 teams, at that point too. So what does it potentially really matter? I think it could matter a lot. Like,
so what was Big C's real objection there? He's not usually scared to play.
Well, no, it was the fact that a team from New Hampshire
too good of a matchup
and a team from Massachusetts are playing in the last day of the regular season in Philadelphia.
Yeah, cool.
That was my reaction, Jeff.
Where's the news here? I don't know.
Well, what if it doesn't mean anything? Who knows? Maybe the 62 games that weekend, maybe none of them mean anything, right?
Sounds like my philosophy of ethics class in college or something.
We do nihilism on this podcast. Hang on, let me call Chris.
There is a hockey stick. What is a hockey stick? It is made of fiberglass. What is fiberglass? Uh-oh. Okay,
I mean,
we're going on the
I would bet that one of those 62 games will mean something to someone, as opposed to 0 for 62. But again, like, whatever. Like, here, you know what? While we're at it, let's just go through it, because Trevor and I were having some fun with this last night.
I was just looking at it too. There's some juicy matchups because every division is going to be in the South for this one.
Yeah. And then, so the last day,
I'm sad I'm not going to be there. Damn it.
The last day of the regular season here. Hold on.
That is awesome. The last day of the regular season in a showcase in Philly.
Why am I struggling to get this? Hold on. Yes, we've never had this before either, Jeff, as you know.
Right.
So,
I know. This is nuts. So I'm sad I'm not going to be there.
You can change your plans. You got plenty of time.
Right. All the colleges. Oh, college playoffs. See ya.
Yeah. So Monday, March 4th, Lumberjacks 87s, Avalanche Railers, Rangers Little Flyers, Terriers Chiefs, Express Philly Hockey Club, Rough Riders Warriors, Bandits Maryland, Bears Rhode Island, and we end the season at 6 p.m. Huntsman Applecore. Like these, like Huntsman Applecore, Huntsman, that could be the difference between the 3 and the 4 seed, which is playing game or not playing game. Applecore could be the difference between the 2 and the 3 seed. That's hosting Rhode Island for games 1 and 3 of their series, as opposed to being on the road, right? Again, I know we're early with this, but we're a week away from Thanksgiving, guys. Like, we're actually cruising through this season, and as you see the parity continue to just stay consistent throughout our league, and you look at the actual standings right now and just the small gaps of separation, right? I mean, if you look at the Central first, yes, there's kind of like a couple tiers, if you will. There's the gap from Railers Applecore as like that top spot, and then Rhode Island, Chiefs, and Providence kind of fighting in that middle, and then Providence Rough Riders towards the bottom right now. But look at the game counts. Rhode Island's already at 21 games. So once everybody else catches up, like I just said, maybe that's a division where they're trying to battle to be the 3 seed as opposed to in the play-in game, right? North Division, top 3 teams, 23 points, 23 points, 22 points. Sorry, Chris. If it stays like that, that Railers matchup on March 4th
very important.
It's going to mean a lot.
Either you win the division or you don't, big guy.
One thing, though, the Avalanche, they do have 3 games in hand over the New England Wolves.
Of course. And look who has the most games in hand in that division, Anthony. The Warriors, right?
Warriors.
I know by stats, they are the quote-unquote last place team. Jeff, your cat is moving right now. Did you see him back there?
Yeah, he's a quick boy. He loves the bathroom window.
Yeah, dude.
Big bathroom window guy.
And then look at the close gaps that we have in the East Division as well. So, just saying, guys, every point's gonna be critical. I bet you 45 of the 62 games means something. All right, take that
DraftKings.
So, yeah.
That's a good bet. 45 to 62. I like that.
So about that showcase, if we're gonna go back to talking about some hockey. I mean, the Little Flyers, I kind of brought them up before, but the fact that, they won their 2 games, Saber Colbert with a 5-point game, had a hat trick and 2 assists.
Yeah.
And their win over the Huntsmen.
That's an easy star of the week tease, Anthony. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean,
coming to you later today.
Next week.
And they've beaten the 87s right before the showcase, so they're on a 3-game winning streak. I mean, they've been playing some pretty good hockey.
Yeah. What is it about the Little Flyers, Anthony, that makes them just get better as the year goes on? Put your thumb on that.
They do this every single year.
Yeah, I mean, they get guys who, I think they either get guys who go to mark midway through the season, or they get guys back. I know a couple of years ago they got back Connor McDonnell, And
yeah,
guys like Adam
wagon.
Bove, where it's like that open door policy where it's like, look, if you want to try to go somewhere higher, that's fine, and if it doesn't work out, you're more than welcome to come back.
Yeah.
But they also got this kid Braden Bezier, who is not much taller than me. He's tiny, but he's shifty. He can move around, and he's averaging well over a point per game. So he's another talented player that's really sort of rejuvenated this Little Flyers offense. And of course, with Jack Costable and Andrew Henry both running the power play, and their man advantage has been absolutely lethal this season. So that's another big reason for their success.
I'd say that's one of the consistencies, though, year to year, too.
Yeah.
The power play is always, an asset for the Little Flyers.
Johnny Dangerously starting to be a little more dangerous. An old E-show favorite.
Yeah, well, he's
in his age out year now, Johnny Lee.
Well, he and Logan Downs, because they've had a couple of years in the EHLP.
Yeah.
And even last season, they were kind of going up and down. So it seemed like they were sort of struggling to find their footing at the EHL level. But that is not a question this year. Johnny Lee and Logan Downs have both hit their stride. They're getting better as the season's progressing. So that's another reason why the Little Flyers could be on the upswing, too, as the season goes on.
Sure. For sure. And I know this is kind of more what to watch for, but I do want to talk a little bit in around the E-show about some of these upcoming matchups between now and the Thanksgiving break, because come Tuesday, we have one game and then everyone takes off until the 29th, right? There's no Thanksgiving showdown, throwdown, whatever we called it this year between the Seahawks and the Express.
All right.
I don't know if it's a year off or if it's done for good. I guess we'll find out in the years to come.
I still got my gobble jersey from Justin to wear. Thank you, Justin.
Didn't get one of those, but not bitter.
Anyways, what happened?
There's
it's in the mail. It's in the mail. Checks in the mail.
Please. There's a home and home series these next 2 days between Seacoast and the Wizards, which is juicy. Very intriguing for me. There's also a 2-game series. It's funny because I think this break comes at a good time for everyone to kind of take a quick breath and then do a quick rush of action in December and then take a longer break. But there's a 2-game series next Monday and Tuesday, Huntsman versus Chiefs, where those are the last games leading up to Thanksgiving. And I always find it interesting to watch to see how the players are in those last games, right? Are they already thinking about Thanksgiving, or are they locked in for those last possible points? Because there's players in our league that come from all over that have flights to get back home for Thanksgiving. Cole Fenema from Texas, for the Huntsman goaltender had a shutout against the 87s. Anthony, that was part of the showcase, and then didn't play as well in that Little Flyers game, possibly because of that hat trick, right? But these next few days, guys, leading up to Thanksgiving, if you're the coaching staffs of these respective teams that have games, how do you keep your players kind of locked in for 24 more hours per se?
It's just a sprint to the finish line where it's just give it all you've got, and then you get to go home, enjoy Thanksgiving for the week. So, I think at that point, you have to treat it like it's the end of a leg of a race where you just empty out the tank, just one more day. We need you to give it your all, and then you get this good break.
Yeah. Like Anthony said, that's basically what you got to do. It is just kind of know that, hey, boys, let's bust our what's as hard as we can here. Let's get some important points, and then go enjoy some turkey, can get some protein, get some carb loading, and then come back fresh with a little break. That Spartans Wizards though, I remember they played each other this year in a showcase matchup. That was a 6-5 Spartans over Wizards final. That was crazy.
Overtime.
Wizards, yeah, that's right. The Wizards were up 4-2 at one point. I'm pretty sure I called that game.
And it'll be interesting too, because the Wizards now, they've scored 6 or more goals in each of their last 3 games. That 9-6 victory in the regional showcase, and then their last 2 games, they've scored 6 goals, including their most recent 6-5 win over the Wolves.
Without George Kolovos,
right?
Without their captain, like they keep scoring. So
what hasn't he come back? I thought I saw him. I thought I saw him on the score sheet for a recent game.
Maybe I must have missed that. But he was out for a good 2 or 3 week stretch though. You're right, Anthony. He did return on the 13th. He was he didn't play a single game in October. His first game back, a goal and 2 assists. So he's back now for a team that through October kind of maintained that level of consistency. And I think I use the words like quietly too often on this podcast. But again, they're 12-4-1, or 12-4-2, I should say. Fourth best record overall in the league.
Hey, how about Aiden O'Connell? This guy just joined the East Coast Wizards. 3 games. He's played 3 games, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I profiled him last week because he had 2 goals, 3 assists just in that regional showcase alone, Anthony. He was definitely noticeable. And that was the crazy thing is during their wins is they had a lot of guys that hadn't scored yet, scored their first goals of the season. O'Connell obviously was one of them. It was O'Connell and O'Connor, 2 good Irish boys. Easy names that I kept mixing up, but yeah, so they'll be able to get the depth scoring of guys that have taken the place of Kolovos, and Fontaine was out. They've stepped up and earned some playing time, so you're going to have a little bit of a competition there with the Wizards for some ice time for those forwards.
Our partnership with Hockey Night in Boston is great. His first 2 games were that regional showcase last week. Look at that. His headshot's already up there. Got taken there.
I think Alexis took it.
You know what? I just totally blanked on this. I don't know how this comparison came into my head. Isn't Aiden O'Connell the quarterback that took over for the Raiders?
Yeah.
Wow.
For Jimmy G.
This kid's playing quarterback and in our league. Just saying. Pretty impressive.
NFL quarterback in the Eastern Hockey League.
But he is not aged out, folks. Those are legal documents. This paperwork's good.
But good catch, Anthony.
Yeah, the birth certificate is just a piece of paper with a $20 bill. I'm in 03 birth year.
I am 12.
All right, it's legit. He's got the paperwork.
Yep, but that was a good catch on Kolovos being back too, Anthony, because that only makes them better, right? But to point out some of these schedules continued. I mentioned how today is the end of a 3-3 for the Bears. Then you skip ahead 2 days. They play the Apple Corps Saturday. So that's a 4th game for them in this stretch. The Avalanche have a 3-3 starting today. They play Wolves today. They play Terriers tomorrow, and they play Rhode Island Saturday. Terriers play the Avalanche tomorrow, Rangers Saturday. So like you guys said, you got to stay locked in here because there's a lot of big matchups that take these teams right up until Thanksgiving. And we're going to have some teams, as I mentioned before, that are going to be at 23 games already when they sit down for Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, right? So, and of course, 23 games, easy math for this podcast. That's halfway through the season.
That's correct.
So to flip over now to the EHLP before we get to fantasy, because Anthony, we got to talk about fantasy for you. It's going pretty well.
Not for me and Neil. Bury us, old men.
Oh man.
Sucks.
Which division do you guys want to start with?
Whichever one you would like, Commish.
Okay. Well, the Rangers got some revenge this past week over the Railers on Saturday night. So they've now played 2 games against each other. A 2-1 victory for the Railers in the first one, a 3-1 victory for the Rangers in the second one. Are they the best rivals currently in the EHLP? Rangers versus Railers.
Ooh.
And let me preface that by saying they've knocked each other out in the division finals each of the last 3 years now.
That's true.
And it feels like every time these guys get together, it's a 1 or a 2 goal game.
Yes, I mean, I guess we'd have to say yes. I mean, just the consistency of both teams with how good they've been, and not only that, but like you just mentioned, Neil, like being able to play each other too, because that doesn't always happen. You can be the 2 best teams in the league and then not run into each other because someone else can pick you off. But yeah, I guess that has become quite the juicy rivalry there, Rangers Railers.
So Whalen had to make an appearance, Jeff. Now Nash is just burying himself in the rug behind me. Thank you, Nash. Thank you. This is really adding to the podcast. Right
we
now.
Love our pets, Whalen and Nash. Nash and Whalen.
Are you good? Are you
good, bud?
Okay, like please.
Right.
You're distracting me from the podcast.
Waylon's back in the window.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
See ya. Out of the room. He wanted to come in just for the EHLP segment, then got out.
For those who cannot see, considering this is a podcast, Nash was indeed rolling around on the rug right behind Neil.
Oh man. But yeah, I had to point out that victory for the Rangers this past Saturday. I mean, those two records are just lethal. It's 17-2-2 for the Rangers, 16-2-0 for the Railers. And just to speak again,
you put either one of those in another division, Neil, real quick, they're up by 10 points.
Yeah, it's insane, right? But just to speak again to the point battle that we're going to have come March, when I say there's 62 games at the Little Flyers rink that last weekend, that includes EHLP. Do you guys hear? Do you guys hear Chase right now? My house is a little shit zoo right now. Chase is screaming in the kitchen. He's just trying to become a part of the podcast before you even know it, right? But again, the reason I bring it up is because for the EHLP, while the games may not mean much in terms of your interdivision standings at that time, they could mean everything for the at-large bid. The at-large bid is absolutely huge in the EHLP. And Jeff, you mentioned the leads that the Rangers and the Railers would have in other divisions. The Express would be a first-place team in both other divisions.
Yep.
Right? So that's important to note that if say the playoffs started today and the Boston Division Finals were any combination of two teams between the Rangers, Railers, and Express, no matter what, those teams know they're still going. Which then you look at the other divisions, and you're going to have one ticket for the Mid-Atlantic Division and one ticket for the New England Division for whoever wins that division.
I mean, good teams like the Huntsman, Wolves would be out.
Look at the Huntsman and 87s. Combined last 13 games, 12 wins and a shootout loss. Wow. So I don't want to say deja vu too early here to what we had last year when it was a crash course for those two teams to face off in the Mid-Atlantic Division Finals, but they're peaking at a good time right now, heading towards Thanksgiving.
And so is Adirondack too, and that was a team that was a wagon last year in the EHL Premier, and they got knocked out first round.
Yeah, they were a very popular pick for us in our brackets to be going to the finals.
Right, us all.
Well, and here you go, Jeff. You're gonna hate my next statement, but we're gonna have another episode next week, right before Thanksgiving. We'll have some games to recap then, but when we have our next episode after that drops on November 30th.
Wait till Frozen Finals picks?
Yes, we'll have like two games to talk about on the 29th. So why not?
I just got hives.
I'm giving you legit 2 weeks to go back, really think about it. I know how you'll break it down, Jeff. You'll make your picks, but you'll also do the subtle plugs about how it could be somebody else.
Yep.
Right.
You know it. That's
I'll probably just pick Maryland because that's what I do at this time of year. Right.
Yep.
But
so those are Maryland.
Those are coming November 30th, guys. Those are coming. Our way too early finals picks. And just so everyone knows, also there are some non-podcast regulars who are very excited about them. Trevor was very excited talking about his picks.
Trevor's personality has really been he's been just coming out lately in the showcase and showing different sides. The guy's getting a little older.
Yes.
TV videography.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, you gotta be more
he's getting more
assertive. Like don't shy away from the hot takes. I mean, I was just calling PHC cowards for not recognizing their New Jersey location. Like, come on, you can do it.
What does the T-shirt say again, Anthony? I don't care what they say, or I don't care what they think.
Oh yeah,
the T-shirt that's still in production. We'll get to it eventually.
It'll be made by Ryan McGrath at some point.
Probably. Then he'll tell you to turn your back to him, and he'll put it on you, and you'll have no idea what's coming at that moment. But this is a good time to not shy away from fantasy. So let's jump to the fantasy challenge.
Now it's time for the eShow Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app. Available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
Of course, every week's fantasy challenge begins with us talking about the Fantasy Hockey League, Jeff. And I have to begin by saying that I made a mistake last week. I thought I was playing Philip Parker. There's 2 Phillips in the league. I was not playing Philip Parker.
Oh.
Justin texted me, "You're wrong. Wrong, Philip." I was like, okay. I was in first place last week and we jinxed it. I jumped all the way to 6th place with 1 loss. I don't get it. Man.
You are. And I'm in 9th, and I have some of the fewest points for. I loved my team after the first 2 weeks. Now I hate them. I want to release them all.
You have 19 points so far this week. I have 60. Nobody else has 60. Fantasy wants to make you put your head through a wall.
Holy crap. Yeah, I'm losing 39.10 to 19.90. I'm projected to lose again.
What's driving me nuts is, you know who I picked number 1 overall, obviously, Connor McDavid. He really hasn't been McDavid yet.
I'll trade you my number 1 pick, Tage Thompson, who's now at least I got a good update today, Neil. He's week to week, not month to month, after blocking a shot against our Boston Bruins.
Do they label it as a lower body injury?
Upper body, it's saying.
Upper body. Okay. At one point, we will have a full 60-minute podcast that's talk about upper and lower body injuries, because the way hockey does it is like so hysterical compared to the way like football and other sports do it, where they become like so specific with what the injury is. Hockey's like it's either in the upper half of his body or the lower half of his body.
Right.
Like that's it.
Mark Bergevin, it's a body injury.
It's a body injury.
Claude was the best at that too.
Yeah,
Julian for the Bruins was
upper
body, lower body. Like what?
But you know that's your weekly update on our on the side fantasy hockey league. But now that the NHL really is in full swing, Jeff, DraftKings, I should say, continues to have some great offers through their sports book, and you can bet $5 and gain $200 instantly, right?
Yeah. So download the app now. Use that code THPN so new customers can get the exact deal. Neil is $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. So we have to be specific.
Yes.
So that's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. And if you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER, or you can visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, you can call 877-8-HOPENY, or you can text HOPENY. That would be 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved.
Are they doing another one of those Frozen Frenzy days, or is this one of them in October where everybody plays?
They said they were only doing one of those, which, again, the NHL just can't get out of its own way. That's so stupid because that got so much.
Well, wouldn't that be more on ESPN for not bothering to schedule it, because the schedule's there?
Yeah.
So it's up to ESPN to do that.
Anthony, if you want to blame ESPN, I'll do it right there with you.
I mean, hey, if you need someone to do like a Buff and Blue pregame show on ESPN, I'd be more than happy to lend a helping hand. Or we could do an Around the E show, ESPN special.
You know what I just thought of, Anthony?
What?
When we get to that last showcase, we should have some like live updates on where teams are standing. Let me think about that.
Ooh.
EHL Red Zone. There you go.
I don't know if the Flow Hockey switcher would be able to handle that.
It'd be EHL Neutral Zone, actually. But anyways, let's get to our fantasy challenge now, where Marc-Andre Dumont, who we believe is Jordan Dumont's father, continues to lead the way despite not picking his own son. That's just crazy to me still. But
Insane.
I think it needs to be mentioned how much of a beast Cam Reardon has been for the Wolves as a fantasy goalie, but also this season. He's got 173 saves this month. 3 wins.
So have you compiled his full? Do you have like an Excel spreadsheet that shows last month plus this month?
I'll do math.
No, we can do that too. I can help
So
you.
last month he had 3 wins and 201 saves, 1 shutout. So he's matched his win total from last month.
He's almost at the saves too already.
Yeah, so that's 374 saves. Look at that, Jeff. I'm getting better at math. He's had 374 saves in 2 months of fantasy.
Damn.
So, but this goes back to our conversation of we were talking about this with the Bears, right? And they've kind of spelled Reardon a few times with Owen Courier, but Reardon's really been the guy. He's got 15 starts already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the true workhorses in the EHL, honestly. Even Carson Fry gets, days off. He's played 10 games and Briley's played 7. So
look at the 15 games played matches last year's 15 games played. It's November 16th.
Yep.
9 wins, 3 regulation losses, 3 overtime or shootout losses. He's at almost 500 saves already.
Yeah, his save percentage.
Actually, I wonder where Reardon stacks up with other goaltenders in the amount of saves he's made.
Ooh, I can click over, Anthony. I got you. I
can do that on the fly.
Why is this not working?
Oh, sort. Please sort. Please sort live for us.
It's just not doing it for me. But it looks like he leads the league. No one else is near 498. You got 404 for Carson Fry. So he's 94 saves above the next closest guy.
Yeah, why won't that sort, Neil? That's doing the same thing for me. What the hell?
Well, I don't know. Look at there's a line under everything else, but not that one.
But not saves.
We'll have to figure that out.
But find a bug.
Yeah. He's got 32.6 points this month. So when you
hold on. I did minutes, and now, Reardon 498, Cross Sherman 437 for saves, Carson Fry 404, Ronnie Petrucci 411. So we do have some guys in the 400 club.
Okay.
That's your live update.
But his 32.6 points combined with AJ Lackis's 31, and then Jack Costabile is up to 8 points now. Remember, he had kind of sort of cold in the month of November.
Yeah.
All in total, that puts Mr. Dumont at 71.6. John Koschel basically has the same team, Lacus and Costabile, but he has Fry as opposed to Reardon. If I had to venture a guess, Reardon's playing today against the Avs. Fry's playing today against the Rough Riders. Just saying.
Interesting. I got cute. I figured too many people were going to pick Cam Reardon, Carson Fry, so that's why I went with Matthews. But I'm getting snake bitten by that 1A, 1B with him and Casper.
For sure. AJ Lacus is getting snake bitten by himself. He didn't pick himself this month. He picked his linemate Johansson. And he's got it's only a 4-point difference between him and what his own self has done for production. But he's at 62.6, right? In the morning.
Come on, self. Come on, Matthias.
He's trying to pick up, the assists, I guess you could say. Speaking of guys that have Matthias, though, there's Chris Russo right there, Anthony. He has them also, along with Costabile and Watson for 53.2. I know there's a 19-point gap for you here, 19.4, but we still have a handful of games left this weekend. Again, look how tight all of our staff are. Chris Russo, Anthony Apollo, Haley, Trevor, Mike, Jake. Oof, look at Mike and Jake. 49.6 for Mike, 48.2 for Jake. They were this tight last month, too, I do believe.
Jake's probably protesting in the kitchen, not cooking Mike any meals anymore. Mike's starving. Mike's gonna be emaciated.
So true.
That is so funny. The Basile brothers just neck and neck.
Yeah. Just like last month, right? For those that are already looking ahead though to December, know that it will start on December 1st. So after the games wrap up on Tuesday, we have a number of games on the 29th and 30th, and all of a sudden it will be December. So Make sure to look ahead to the month of December and get a good idea of who you want to pick, knowing that there is another league-wide EHL showcase in the middle of the month taking place at Newington. Subtle plug, best snack bar in the league, too. No fancy points for that, but
fun fact, that breakfast sandwich is so good. This might sound, I don't know if this sounds gross, but it's covered in tinfoil, right? It's that hot tinfoil. I remember last year I got that. Didn't have time. The snack bar cook, he's a great guy. I forget his name. He talks. he'll talk a lot. I can talk a lot. So I was like, all right, man, I got to go back out there. He's like, oh, you don't even get to eat your sandwich. I was like, it's okay. I'll use it as a hand warmer for the next showcase have. I did.
Did you really?
The thing literally stayed hot the whole entire 25-minute showcase half and then I ate it after the game. That thing was piping hot.
Jeff, I'm telling you right now, you've got to come to Bergen County where me and Chris live. And we got to take you to, a deli, a bagel shop, and we've got to get
Taylor ham.
Taylor ham, or a bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup, on a plain or everything. Yep, plain or everything bagel, and you will have your mind blown. The breakfast sandwiches here, so good.
I had dated an ex. One of my exes was from the Jersey Shore, actually from Brick Township, and they used to always, whenever I go down there, I'd always get the Taylor ham sandwiches. So. It's been a minute. I'd love to get back down there.
Well, that does it for fantasy. As I mentioned kind of earlier, we teased this around the East show. A number of great matchups to watch out for. So let's jump to what to watch for now.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the EHLP.
What to watch for is presented by Flow Hockey, the official streaming platform for your EHL and EHLP action throughout the 2023-2024 season.
And
I'm going to go with Railers Avalanche March 4th, all right? Sounds good. Iceworks Skating Complex. Be there, be square, big
we're watching out for that every week until then, right?
Yes, literally. I'm not watching anything else until that happens.
But between now and then, I'm also going to watch out for the Railers versus Lumberjacks tomorrow. And no, it's not just because the Railers have won 14 straight games, which matches the 21-22 87s. So if they win one more, sorry, Anthony, they'll knock the 87s off this list. What? You got something?
I was going to say, I want to say this before because we were talking about like the game right before Thanksgiving. The 87s winning streak that year started on that last game before Thanksgiving.
Oh. Interesting.
It was a go-ahead goal with like less than 5 minutes left, and they got the win, and that's what started it.
Well, part of the reason why I'm picking the Railers Lumberjacks matchup is that's the only regulation loss that the Railers have was against the Lumberjacks back in Vermont way back in September. So with a record of 14-1-1, I'm sure this one that I'm highlighting, the Railers have highlighted as well since that took place. So while they want to keep this streak going, they want to get some revenge as well over Vermont. As for the EHLP, I'm looking at that Huntsman Chiefs 2-game series, just like they have at the EHL level. When you look at the Mid-Atlantic Division standings, remember at the EHLP level, all 6 teams do make the playoffs, and 1 and 2 get a first-round bye, meaning 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. So when you have a chance to take points within your division, you got to take advantage, whether it's the last 2 days before the Thanksgiving break or not. So I'm watching that Huntsman versus Chiefs 2-game series in Connecticut.
Love it. I'm going to go with Terriers. Watch out for their 2 games Friday, Saturday. They got Avalanche and Rangers, 2 real tough opponents. Terriers have been involved in some interesting games lately. They just had a 7 straight 1-goal decision streak that was snapped. So I'm sure Cody and Neil are definitely breathing a little easier now, but kind of an interesting mixed bag. They beat Providence Hockey Club at the showcase, then lost to them the other day, then barely beat the Bandits team that they're much more talented than. So I think that's kind of interesting to watch and see what they do against the likes of the Rangers and Avalanche. And then I wanted to pick, we all love Zach Overholzer, so I'm going to go with Huntsman too. I'll pick Anthony's matchup, 87's Huntsman in the Premier. There's been some good games between those 2 sides this year. Huntsman won the most recent one, 2-1. So will Connell McNeilis and the 87s get a little bit of revenge? They've already won. They won the first two. The 87s did. So, and Huntsman have won the last two. That's a tied at 2 games apiece series.
Yeah, that's definitely good rivalry in the making, or has been since last season, I should say. My games I want to pick for the EHL, I have to go with the New Jersey Bears and New York Apple Corps because, like I said, the Bears have just playing lights out hockey. They've had points in their last 11 games. But then you look at New York Apple Corps. If it weren't for the Railers, we'd all be talking about the Apple Corps and how awesome of a season they're having.
Yes.
Like, what a turnaround with Lenny Caglioni's squad.
Yes.
Right? And they had just lost Lucas Salas, and they're still, ripping off W's.
Yeah.
So I think that for the Bears, it won't be an easy matchup against Apple Corps because I could see Apple Corps really taking it to them. They've got Peter Dunkel, really good goaltender in his own right. And he'll probably be the starter against Carson Fry. So I think that'll be an awesome matchup to see. For the EHLP, we have to go to a rematch of last year's playoffs. The Adirondack Junior Thunder and the New Hampshire Avalanche. 2 games at the Ice Den. Not the CIA. It's at the Ice Den in Hooksett. I'm just going to speak it into existence, guys. Like, I just want that to be the nickname for this arena because it's right there. Like, but with Adirondack too, they had a lot of older players on their team last year. They lost a lot of guys. I know Blanchard, who had 50 plus points with the Thunder last season. He's with the 87s now. A lot of guys either aged out or moved up. But
how is Blanchard doing with the 87s, Anthony?
Good. I mean, the thing about Blanchard is that he knows his role with the team. He knows that at the EHL, he's not quite a skill guy. Yep. So he's a guy that uses his speed and wreaks a lot of havoc on the forecheck. He's also pretty good at killing penalties. So he's kind of found his role with the 87s. I think he's also had some bad puck luck where he's gotten a lot of opportunities, still waiting for his first goal at the EHL level. But I think it'll come for him.
Nice.
But going back to the Thunder, though, they lose all those guys, Murkowski, Jack Randall, but here they are right back in the thick of things up in their division. So we'll see if they can get some revenge on the Avalanche.
For sure. So a number of great games to watch between now when we drop this podcast on Thursday the 16th and this upcoming Tuesday, the 21st is the final day before the Thanksgiving break. We'll have a podcast on Wednesday, not Thursday. I think I can speak for these two guys if we don't need to record on Thanksgiving morning. So we'll get it out to you on Wednesday. So your Thanksgiving Eve, you can kill an hour in anticipation of the turkey by listening to the podcast, right? And then 1 week later, on November 30th, the final day of the month, why not? We're going to have our way too early Frozen Finals predictions for all those E-Crew members that are not on this podcast. Get your picks ready also. So sorry, Jeff, I know it's not your favorite moment of this time of year because it creates a little it fires off some text in our direction. Why didn't you pick us, right?
My loving, non-hating self gets all
but it makes it more excited for when we see everybody at the Newington Showcase, and really, like, that is just around the corner. Between now and then, if you're not going to make it out to any of the games in person, as always, you can catch them on Flow Hockey, and we'll talk to you guys next week, the day before Thanksgiving.
See you, boys.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.